Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Master Menopause Metabolism podcast. Today we're diving into something that is very important that we need to talk about, and it is HRT. It sounds like the magic bullet, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm missing hormones. Now I'll just, start taking them and I'll be just like I was in my 20s and 30s and I'm going to lose weight again. And a lot of these, claims need to be, marketing claims need to be looked at. So that's what we're going to talk about. What is the truth? How does it really work? And what your doctor isn't going to tell you or doesn't have time to tell you. Is HRT a miracle or a minefield? Let's talk about the part no one tells women over 40. Not all HRT is created equal. There's bioidentical versus synthetic. It changes everything. And another angle I want you to know about is that just because there are certain levels in the body of a hormone does not mean that it's successful, if that makes sense. Meaning your body is not possibly utilizing it the way that it should be. And I do believe there are prerequisites to taking a hormone replacement therapy. And, disclaimer, I am on HRT myself, so we'll talk about that. Some women thrive, others end up in lawsuits. So, definitely something we want to, think about is, what is HRT and why do women consider it? HRT is exactly what we talked about. It is hormone replacement therapy. So, as you guys know, let's just do a quick, brief overview. When I hit 42, I started to gain weight around my midsection, and I was an avid worker outer, if that's such a thing. I worked out, 6 days a week. I had no fear of hard work, and so all my hard work started to kind of work against me though. And I learned I had adrenal fatigue, and also that, over the years, I was getting worse and worse symptoms around my period. So my cycle was starting to shorten up, meaning I was getting my period more often. And the PMS symptoms were becoming like really where we couldn't ignore them. My husband would say, "Are you getting your period?" And he doesn't want to ask that. You don't want to get in trouble, like, "Oh my God, don't ask me that." But he'd notice crying spells, so would I, and just like I've got really bad social anxiety a couple days before, panic attacks, just a whole host of things. And so that was when I realized that my progesterone, my sleep was getting bad as well, and I'd always been a great sleeper. My progesterone was, basically non-existent in perimenopause, and my estrogen was really off. And so I needed to address those things. And I considered hormone replacement therapy after reading the book Estrogen Matters. And I also followed Dr. Mary Claire Haver, which I'm sure a lot of you do as well. She's a great resource for, getting over the fear of HRT. And I still have a lot of questions from women who do it. So I wanted to dive in. When I did get my hormone replacement therapy, I had already taken hold of my adrenal fatigue and addressed that. And so that meant that I had gotten onto a reverse diet for a couple of years. And I continue to do that now to this day, where I'm making sure I'm eating enough for my body. And it changed everything for me as far as belly fat, the way I felt, my sex drive. That really cured me in a lot of ways. But there was still that lingering symptoms of the panicky feelings, all of that before my cycle. And so I decided, you know what? I'm worth it. I should definitely talk with someone about getting on hormone replacement therapy. So that there's synthetic versus bioidentical. And there's pretty big differences with that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what that looks like for you and how to talk with your doctor. So I think this is, something that people don't explain. And so basically, synthetic are chemically manufactured compounds designed to mimic hormones, but they don't have the exact molecular structure of our human hormones. So Think about like urine, things like that from animals, that type of thing. The body doesn't recognize them and there can cause different side effects or risks. So bioidentical are structurally identical to our human hormones, okay? They can be customized. So meaning the dose, the combination, and they're based on our lab results and symptoms. So when I first went on hormone replacement therapy, um, I didn't sleep as well with the progesterone and I had the estrogen patch. And so we doubled. So there was like some things. I felt really edgy, kind of not good the first month. And so that was the symptoms that things weren't really doing what they were supposed to. And so we decided, my healthcare provider and I, that the progesterone needed to go up. So we doubled basically the dose at night. And that pretty much solved everything for me. So then I had the right ratio of estrogen and whatnot. So that's how we could, get and manipulate the dosage. And so that was really great. And so you generally can, it's just considered easier for the body to metabolize, but still requires medical supervision. So examples of synthetic hormones are Premarin, estrogen from pregnant mare urine. So this is a real thing. And then Prempro, estrogen plus progestin. So I did have a woman who was put on Prempro come into our program. And specifically, she was happy that she had reached out to her doctor. She had gotten on HRT, but she literally still was gaining weight, didn't feel good. So, like I'm saying, there's other kind of prerequisites to hormone replacement therapy that you want to consider. And I'll go over that today in the podcast. But basically, the Prempro, when we tested with a Dutch hormone test, it was scary the amount of estrogen she had in her body. And a lot of things can happen that would make that happen. A lot of things in the body. One of them is we're not detoxing. So that's where I'm saying there's certain prereqs. Like if you are not pooping regularly, ladies, just, if you're constipated or you have trouble going to the bathroom, I don't really think it's a good idea until we get that under control or figure out why that's happening with your diet, and maybe with some supplements to get that more regular, to go on to hormone replacement therapy. Because what can happen if your body is not detoxing, not even putting estrogen into the body, but just because it's not going out of the body like it should be, you then get something called estrogen dominance. So I kind of want to look cool here with like this, you know, I want you guys to see my mic, but I don't even know how people do that. But I'll get to that. So as just starting this podcast, we're getting warmed up. But anyway, so yeah, so like basically her hormones were completely out of whack. So she had to go off the Prempro. That was the synthetic. And I just felt for her because it was like she was so proud of herself. And it is a leap. It's a little scary to go on these things. Her doctor didn't test anything. There was no follow-up. So, these things still happen. I don't know who her doctor was, but anyhow, it didn't work well for her body. So now we've got her worked out and straight. She's doing well. She got on the right kind of dose for her. She got her food in the right alignment. She's still working on some of that. But now we've got her going to the bathroom and yeah, things are much more better. But there's other prereqs, I'd say too, that I would like you to join the program or get going on before you go on to HRT. And have a Dutch test. Get a Dutch test so you can see not only levels in your body, but how your body is absorbing them. So so some side effects of these synthetic hormones can be blood clots, cardiovascular risk, mood swings, breast cancer concerns. I was asked this in my last workshop, and I thought blood clots, yeah, I need to look more into that. Versus the bioidentical approach, which there's the personalization, there's fewer side effects for some, and it's natural to your metabolism. So the body does well with the proper dosing, of course, and something that it recognizes. Anytime you're doing synthetic, there's more of a risk. So even with the right hormones, there are risks though that you should know about. So basically, we're going to talk about risks and lack of full disclosure. But before we do that, let me talk to you a little bit. Well, actually, we'll do that next. Okay. So, historical lawsuits, prem-pro lawsuits citing increased breast cancer risk. So, there's some studies, some lawsuits that have been won. And the risks often under discussed by prescribers. So that's why I'm heightening your knowledge today so that you understand it. There are still risks involved, and it depends on what you're taking. Dosage matters, and there are others prerequisites that we'll talk about. So I want you to always ask your provider for full data on what they're prescribing you and alternatives, and ask them, do you test? Do you test my levels? Do you follow up with me? Like, how often do I come and see you? How would I know if things are going wrong? Is this synthetic or is this bioidentical? Those are very good questions to ask. So, if you're not writing this down, just real quickly ask them, is it bioidentical versus synthetic? And then you'll kind of have an idea. Ask them what the risks are. You can ask your pharmacy as well when you go in. Like, the pharmacist is always there to discuss things with you. I love that. Like at Target or Walgreens, they will chat with you. And I know it's a busy industry, but they're there to do that. So make sure to ask them questions as well. So now I'm going to dive into my part, my favorite part, why metabolism, lifestyle, and nutrition actually matter. So this is really important. I can't tell you how many women are in our program or have come to me and they are doing the right thing. Like, they're on hormone replacement therapy. They feel much better, but they're not losing the weight. That happens tenfold. And how they advertise these, they have to be really careful, because yes, it will help your body to burn fat and do what it needs to and get rid of some of the symptoms. But if you don't figure out your metabolism and there's metabolic issues or adrenal fatigue or a gut issue, you're never going to lose weight. It's just by taking hormone replacement therapy. And as a matter of fact, it could be kind of dangerous. Okay. So hormones interact with metabolism. So thyroid, cortisol, insulin, sex hormones, all of them play together. And so if you don't have certain lifestyles and factors or things to mitigate your systems in check, like diet, sleep, stress, exercise, this hormone replacement therapy is going to be another band-aid on a bullet wound. So this is where I think, this can give you some quick insights. Like, what is your A1C? That is the most important thing with metabolic issues. Is, what comes first, dysregulated A1C or hormone issues? Like, I would say genetically and due to whatever's going on in your body, A1C probably is happening first, and then you're getting even worse with symptoms based off maybe the hormones in your sex hormones. But the most important thing is your thyroid, which is the thermostat to your body and how everything works and how things are regulated, and basically how it's dosing your body with the hormones that make all these things work. So if we look at thyroid, that's one of the number one things. Cutting carbs actually decreases thyroid production. Autoimmune issues that are very prevalent now are definitely coming into play. And having things like Epstein-Barr early on in your life can also create a whole host of thyroid issues. So that is important to understand, that if something is off in your thyroid, you don't have proper amounts of selenium, your ferritin is off, any kind of nutritional deficiencies, that needs to be addressed first. And then if your A1C is high, that is also then the next that is your blood sugar over the past 3 months. And that's really important to address. And some things you can do is get like a glucose monitor. They're very inexpensive, and it opens up your eyes to what your blood sugar is doing. Like, I've had one for a month before, and it really made me feel a lot better actually about my body when I could see how different food combinations would create different blood sugar. Things like alcohol is a no-go for my body. That is not good for my blood sugar. Obviously, eating carbs naked, that's also a big factor. Never ever do that. Don't just grab a banana for breakfast and get on the way. I had a lady pass out at the gym many times, like just from having carbs, and then their blood sugar would dip down, hypoglycemia, that kind of thing. So those two factors are very important. So you need to be going to the bathroom. Your A1C should be under like 5.5 before you go on HRT. Those are things, and your thyroid needs to be in check and make sure you don't have nutrition, deficiencies. And even that your, protein is at a certain level. You're not eating carbs naked, and you're sleeping well. So if like it does help the sleep, but you should also be, mitigating things before bed naturally to help your body, getting that sunlight in your eyes. Like there's so much you can do, you guys, before you go on a hormone replacement therapy. But once you do, I'm like red, I'm like green light, go for it. But also, eating anti-inflammatory foods, micronutrients like we talked about, potassium, selenium, magnesium, those are game changers. Our heart is a muscle. Like having those in check is everything. And then basically that's a ripple effect through the rest of your body to make them work, because our body is a huge chemical reaction. And if one chemical is off, another is going to be off, and so on and so forth. So we need to have those micronutrients. They're much more important than you think. And they're easy to get, cheap. So lifestyle tweaks can enhance your HRT outcomes or sometimes reduce the need for it even. So, like check it off, get a little checklist. Like, are those things happening, or are you on HRT, but you still have a really high A1C? Then we got to look at things like why? Why is that happening? How can we get this in check? Okay. So let's talk about, giving you hope, balancing naturally, plus, uh, tools and works and all that kind of thing. So basically, like I talked about, our one client who had come to us and she was on Prem Pro and she was not feeling right. She was gaining weight like gangbusters. She wasn't eating anything. Her workouts weren't feeling sound. They weren't doing anything. And then we tested her hormones and we found that her estrogen and her progesterone were way off. Like she had very high elevated estrogen. So that's estrogen dominance, which can cause so many issues. And so basically, as we, you know, got things into balance, she got off of that synthetic hormone. She, started working on her food again and her protein. And her fiber, her sleep got better. She started losing belly fat very easily. So, one thing led to another, and then it just basically reversed as we did that. And like now she's on a very low dose of bioidentical HRT, and things are happening for her. I had another client too who was very moody around her periods, not feeling good. We tested her gut and we found that she had basically some H. pylori, so some very serious things that were blocking her body's ability to, take in nutrition, like leaky gut. And so once we got to the bottom of that, eradicated that from her gut, and then helped her reproduce and get the right, um, you know, like biome, she started just thriving. And then we added in some progesterone, and now she is like well on her way. And as a side effect too, she started losing weight. I had another person, who she too had gone through our program. She did everything right. She wasn't super overweight, but she just wasn't feeling right. And then she was like exhausted. She just kind of got really bloated all the time. And her too. We tested her gut and her hormones together, and basically the Dutch showed us that she had very low testosterone, and her progesterone and her estrogen were also, in menopausal range when she was still in perimenopause. And then she also had like a parasite kind of blocking her gut. And so we eradicated that very easily with some natural like supplements. And we also found candida. So we changed her diet around there, got rid of that. And now she's super thriving. And then she got some testosterone cream from her doctor, along with now she's got a good patch and whatnot. So, I mean, and now she texted me and she said, you know what, Andrea, I keep losing weight. Is that okay? And I'm like, yes, it's good. You're getting rid of inflammation. You're feeling better. So, basically, being empowered, ladies, is knowledge plus personal strategy equals control, which feels good. Like, how many things in this world right now do we feel out of control? It's just really, really important to understand your body. So I have a great 7 day belly, fat blaster kind of plan that can go along with HRT that can really help connect the dots if you're someone that's like, yeah, I'm on hormone replacement therapy, I'm not feeling great. And so if you'd like that, just comment below and I will make sure that you get that as well. So, let's just kind of go over the HRT options. There's synthetic versus bioidentical. Make sure you understand which one you're on, what you're asking for. We can manipulate doses, things like that, less side effects with a bioidentical. Lifestyle, it's never goes away. I'm sorry, but there is not a quick fix. You can't just throw on an estrogen patch and take progesterone at night and expect your weight to bounce back and you're going to feel great and your health is going to be amazing. No, you'll do that with lifestyle though, okay? And it's crazy. You got to move your body. You can't eat carbs naked. You need to eat whole foods and you need to de-stress daily, ladies, especially in this world. It's just our central nervous system is taking a hit from all the pollutants and just basically environment and our lifestyle, especially in the United States here, and you got to take control of that. And then also, just getting the right balance is everything. We know that like there's too much polarization in this world right now, and so understanding how to balance that. So I would love for you guys to follow me on social media. So I am on Instagram at Andrea Tone. Also, I am on Facebook and I have a free women's hormone group that you can be a part of if you'd like that. Just put, free group and I will get you the link to that as well. And I have a newsletter. So if you'd like to be part of that, just let me know. We'll make sure that you get on that list. So yeah, that is my message for today. And this is kind of my series right now. We're going to talk a little bit more from week to week, about like inflammation. Is it the real reason diets fail after 40? And we're going to talk in depth about that, about dieting, counting calories, cutting carbs, but still not losing the weight. Why? Could be inflammation. So don't miss next week. And if there's a topic you'd like to hear about, just reach out. I'm more than happy. So this is my lifeline to you. I want to talk to you guys. So let me know what you need. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week.